Hello. I think you're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How do I sound?
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
sweet.
Yeah, it's got to be fun dealing with all the Google Docs and just kind of right sizing all those things. It sounds
It's
like a whole bunch of fun.
and then everybody gives up, so they're like, "I invited your old work, your new work, and your personal Gmail." I was like, "That's not how."
It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, found it. Yeah. Five, 60.
Oh, cool. Today I'm signed in as Kubernetes steering. Thanks, Zoom. I appreciate you. And my many personalities do too. I feel like I've been giving the Kubernetes community meeting the benefit of all of my cat t-shirts. So I don't know how many of you attend them regularly. I try to do a new cat t-shirt every week because somebody mocked my I need coffee right now t-shirt at the very first week. I was like, all right, I'll see your cat t-shirt joke. So today I am screaming internally because I'm so excited. It's Burndown. It's great. This was last week's cat t-shirt. Um, okay, let's see. I should probably tell everybody as we wait for things to roll. Let's see. Let's wait for people to roll in a little bit more. But I'm getting really lazy about trimming and editing and stuff. So I apologize if you show up here, realize that you may for a little bit until I remember to trim videos, just like be on camera looking around or typing in your keyboard or whatever for a little bit. So, okay, posted a link to the meeting notes in the chat if you want to go ahead and add your name to the attendees thing. As usual, I'm kind of liking the pattern of having everybody do their thing and I clean up at the end. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, now that we have a couple more people here, thank you very much for taking notes, Mike. I would like to welcome everybody to Friday, March the 1st, third month of the Kubernetes 1.14 release cycle, last weekday of week 8 of the release cycle. I'm Aaron of SigBeard. You are at the Kubernetes 1.14 Burndown meeting. You're being publicly recorded, and so of course you are adhering to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to please don't be a jerk. So I gave a presentation at the community meeting yesterday that consisted entirely of memes. Hopefully I got the points across, and you all have gotten some responses as a result of that. Claire, would you like to talk to us about enhancements?
Sure. So we're right now at 33 enhancements slated for 1.14. Same number as Wednesday, but we had one that was added due to an exception request, and one was deferred because the folks contributing to it didn't feel it would be ready in time. 11 of these enhancements are right now marked at risk because they're missing test plans from KEPs. That's 4 less than Wednesday. Of those 11, I would say the majority have folks who are actively engaging with either myself or PRing into the KEP those test plans. There's only 3 that I would say are probably super at risk because there's been no response from a non-release team member in 15 plus days when we ask them for either KEPs, and I've noticed like also when they're getting pings for KK PRs or docs, there's just not been a lot of response.
Have you reached out on the SIG's Slack channels and stuff to bring their attention to this?
Not yet, but I can ping for those issues to the SIG Slack channels to get more visibility.
I mean, other like issue triage and CI signal folks can speak from their past experience, but at this point, as we start to see a lot of notification noise on GitHub for many people, such as myself, GitHub notifications are effectively useless, even if I am trying to just follow 1 or 2 issues. And so reaching out to people out of band and other mediums, be that in the SIG Slack channel, stalking them down in Slack and talking to them via DM, emailing them, things of that nature are really good to help make sure you actually get a human at the end of the line.
Cool, sounds good. I will try that method then later today.
Okay. I'm also kind of concerned at the lack of test plans, to be honest. I don't know how the CI signal folks feel about that, but like the whole purpose here is I think like if CI signal can't tell if the feature is actually working because there are no tests for it, what are we even doing?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to Maria about if any of the ones without KEPs are particularly, or the ones without testing plans in their KEPs are particularly bad not to have. But I can try to get some time with her to discuss that next week since I don't see her on the call right now.
Okay. If I have time, I will try to help out there as well. So do we have somebody here to talk to us about CI signal today? I think Sylvia.
Yes. Test plans are currently on top of our minds, but we still have to do a more systematic review of all the KEPs. But Maria will probably be able to give a more comprehensive update on that. What I want to talk about is our current failures. So for CI signal, we see some improvements when compared to 2 days ago. So we have currently 1 job failing in release master blocking, 3 in master upgrade, and 1 in 1.14 blocking. And the difference when compared to 2 days ago is that some test failures for SIG storage have been resolved through a PR. And these were in master upgrade, master blocking, 1.14 blocking. And also we opened a couple of issues for the ones in master upgrade that were not cleared up by this. And also in 1.14, we see some recently failing tests that started failing today. And master upgrade still has some SIG network DNS tests failing, and we have open issues for that as well. And we also can see some issues that were added to our GitHub board in you, that were added by you, Aaron, and that we still need to follow up on. And another topic is that we found some tests in GC new master upgrade cluster new that failed on February the 25th. So with some timeouts, and they have not run ever since. And Maria opened a thread on SIG testing on Slack, and we are trying to clarify what is going on with that. So we also have some ongoing work on flakes. And this is all that I have to update for this meeting.
Cool. Any questions for Sylvia? Okay. Yeah, I does feel like there's a lot of red out there. I'm super excited we finally got diff resources fixed. That was literally, I made an entire slide just for that yesterday. The con meme for that one. But it does look like we still have a lot of flakes, and it's kind of unclear which tests are the main culprits for these flakes. So even though we fixed that, the job still seems like it's mostly red. So just, yeah, it looks like SIG storage and SIG auth are going to be our best friends for a little while. Just looking at this news.
Yeah, fun times ahead with flakes.
Okay. I'm not, Nico, do you want to talk to us about bug triage?
Yeah, greetings. So, triage news. Nothing of interest. I'm casually informing issues and PRs and owners about incoming code freeze of next week. And that's about it. I haven't detected anything of danger, really.
Okay. Amit, would you like to talk to us about test info stuff?
Sure. So I guess we merged about 46 PRs in KK in the last 2 days, which is okay, not as epic as last time, but sure. And then we are also trying to update to Go 112. We updated it once and we found that there are Go wet failures, which have since been resolved. I believe that I think there's a PR out to resolve the QVDM Go wet failures, and once that PR is in, we will try to go have another go at it. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, I think Lubomir went ahead and PR'd most of his suggestions regarding kubeadm. So Lubomir, I'm gonna go double check that all of that stuff looks good, especially in the context of making sure we got the same set of jobs across all the branches. It looks like you hit all the appropriate release branches with your changes. So thank you for that. And for context, the Go 112 stuff, like, y'all made a liar out of me. I literally said in the meeting notes yesterday or in Wednesday that, yeah, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do this. And then I said, definitely we're not going to do it yesterday during the community meeting. And now we're doing it because it turns out, one, for supportability and compatibility reasons, it's way more worth our while to have Because of the support windows of Kubernetes and Go and the way that they are staggered, if we don't get Kubernetes 1.14 on Golang 1.12, we will eventually end up in a situation where Kubernetes 1.14 is built with a version of Golang that is unsupported. This is the situation that we find ourselves in right now for Kubernetes 1.11 and 1.12, and trying to figure out what to do about that. The second reason is there's this great scalability problem that it's kind of wondering how we could more effectively test this in the future. But apparently, if you add something like over 250 config maps in some certain configuration, cluster appears to grind to a halt. Whereas with the new code that is available as a result of Golang 1.12, we get up to a couple thousand config maps. So those, even though I did ask SIG scalability and they said, you know, let's not do this unless anybody's really pushing for it, now I have reasons to really push for it, so we're going to give it a shot. Sorry for jumping the queue there. Jim, do you want to talk to us about docs?
Yeah, sure. I'll keep this pretty short and sweet. Today's the deadline to have a placeholder PR. Looking high level, looks like we're missing about half the documentation, but I don't think it's worth raising any, you know, red flags or alarms until we have a very clear picture of exactly what's there, what's missing. So we'll have a clear picture on Monday.
Okay. Let's see. Dave, are you going to talk to us about release notes today?
Yeah, sure. So the latest draft, there is a PR for that that was submitted yesterday. Other things, so we met last week, gained consensus on the changes that we need to make to release notes for 1.14. And we're also aware of the dependencies that need to be brought in. There's much a manual process right now. So we'll also take a look if any of that can be automated, but it is on our radar to make sure those are brought in.
Okay. Yeah, for context there, like we had a bit of a discussion somewhere in the sig-release Slack about like, hey, do we actually have a policy for when it is and is not okay to update external dependencies and why we should do that? And it kind of reminded me that, hey, do we even keep track of external dependencies? And so right now it's kind of in release notes playbook to notice that like we should at least have a step to manually keep track of what version all of our dependencies are at. But I don't think we really have anything, at least I haven't been able to find anything in my spelunking, but I'm not the best with Google, though I do work here, that like, when should we gate, you know, when should we say like, okay, I think we're done accepting updates to external dependencies? And like, what are the things we should use to make that decision? I don't know that we really have any. So if you have questions, we can make me the ultimate decider, or if somebody here wants to try tackling that, I'm happy for you to tackle that. My sense is, you know, it's pretty clear with Golang, for example, that like, because it has potential performance implications, it's something that needs to be done respectfully in the context of code freeze. Probably the same thing in terms of like container engine versions, things like that. Bumping versions of the sundry add-ons and plugins that we use is a little bit less clear to me. It may feel to some people like, you know what, that's just a docs update, no big deal. And off the top of my head, I don't really have a great suggestion other than attempting to take it as a case-by-case basis. But does anybody else have any thoughts there?
Have we ever brought this up to SIG architecture?
No, I don't really think that we have. But to be clear here, like the problem, I don't necessarily want the release notes folks to boil the ocean when it comes to keeping track of all of our third-party dependencies. Sounds like, to me, it would be within the context of sig-release to put together some concept of a manifest or a bundle or some kind of description of all of the versions of all of the components that make up a given Kubernetes thing. And that could maybe start to go into a discussion of what even is a Kubernetes release or distribution. Because OpenShift, for example, provides a very detailed listing of all their things, but that's not necessarily the same thing as a Kubernetes release. So I just think before bringing that to SIG architecture, it would behoove us to have sig-release take their best guess at this. My preference would be under the release engineering subproject, but I am not a sig-release chair.
So I have one question. In the past, under the external dependencies really part of the release notes, we would even like list off Fluentd Elasticsearch cluster add-on changes. And to me, that's not an external dependency of Kubernetes. That's something that is an add-on to Kubernetes that we're just bumping the version of. I don't really have an answer. I'm just more bringing that up and saying that's kind of weird.
I think the way we differentiate what's in external dependencies is like things that we push into the Kubernetes Google container registry or something. Like in some way we're distributing these binaries as a part of the Kubernetes release. And with the Go tooling, we don't have to enumerate those because those are all like managed with GoDeps, but with the extra, there's just some containers that we distribute, and those are in random manifests, and I think that's why we have to keep them in there, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, during the working group LTS talk, there was a discussion on when the Run C CV came out. There was a discussion on how do we deal with the external dependencies, and there were a lot of opinions shared there, but no consensus. But it's a discussion worth looking at, and something that the working group was also thinking of taking up as, okay, we need to probably think about this.
Yeah. So all that to say that it's like, it's a big, ugly, messy thing, and that's not what I'm asking release nits to solve. Just find a way of keeping track of what we have kept track of before, and talking about it early and often will probably help us avoid surprises. And we'll just have to accept that we're kind of making it up as we go along. Maybe we can do ourselves some favors by documenting what it is we're making up. Does that sound reasonable to you, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. And me, Jeff, and Lindsay will talk about this, see what ideas we can come up with around this, and we'll update on that.
Okay, thanks. So Natasha's not here for comms because of a meeting conflict. I see a couple people here from her team. What's going on in the land of comms? What do we need to be aware of from a schedule perspective there?
So I know that we are working through different topics for the blog and different callouts that we'll be working and looking at in terms of features. We're still kind of working through that now, definitely with all of the caps and everything that are coming through, kind of waiting for those to solidify. And then after that's done, then we'll have a better idea of what we want to call out. We have some base ideas in that front. I can throw that document in there for visibility as well.
That would be awesome. Like, what's our next checkpoint there?
I'm starting on the Windows write-up like early next week. Mostly I wanted to make sure that was solidified.
Okay.
Yeah, I just closed the document, but I believe it's March 12th for the final review of the blog.
Let me see if I can get that for you, Aaron.
No, that's fine. I'm just wondering if we want to just kind of make sure we collectively still agree on the concept of themes and whatnot for the release. So to me, a useful checkpoint might be like kind of check in on things in a little bit more detail on Wednesday, just prior to code freeze, kind of give us an idea of what's reasonable and what's not, what we should be pushing for, what we should be accepting, like what we are willing to kick out, so to speak. Does that seem fair to everybody?
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay. Hannes, Somehow people keep coming out of the woodwork to ask you random questions about release-related stuff. What happened this time?
What happened this time? So nothing really. I just have to, just for informations, we are cutting the next thing, the beta 2, next Tuesday. And you might have seen the conversations in the sig-release Slack channel. Currently, the publishing bot does not publish release 1.13 things into the external repos, but people are working on that, so I assume it's gonna be resolved soonish, but just if people ask you regarding that. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
I don't think so, but just to be clear, it's not like this is a regression. This is us discovering for the first time behavior that has always existed, that the publishing bot has never historically published tags for alphas or betas. Is that fair?
Yep, that is correct. But we have, so like I have some ideas how this might be a bit easier in future, and yeah, we'll check with the people who run and manage the publishing bot on that.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, has anybody here used one of the releases that Hannes has cut? Like downloaded it or whatever, used your cluster provisioner tool of choice to stand it up?
Yeah, I have. Extensively with Kind.
Awesome. Okay.
And I haven't had any issues in the day-to-day use of it. So I don't know. I haven't been stringently looking at it, but I can do everything that I thought I could do.
Excellent.
So Kind is quite nice. But yes, it's
yeah,
it all works. I end up with a cluster.
That makes me feel extra special good about using Kind as part of our release process. It seems like it's a more reliable way of catching anything weird related to Kubedium. So it doesn't necessarily expose any weird behaviors we might be seeing from a cloud provider's perspective. So that's cool. There's no right or wrong answer to that. You notice I didn't raise my hand. I feel not the best about that, but that's just sort of the reality of my day-to-day right now. So thank you, Lockie, for making for being the guinea pig for Hannes' hard work.
I appreciate it, Hannes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we managed to, in the course of all that, hit the 2 items I wanted to hit at the end. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about? Okay, cool. I'm going to use my remaining 5 minutes to go internally scream elsewhere. You all have a wonderful Friday, and I will see you back here Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. Have a good one.